Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another qualifier for the StarsWar 11. Welcome, everyone, to the Asia Open Qualifier number 1. I'm, of course, your host, ZvT, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely players ahead of us here. Exclamation mark B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket, it's big, it's huge. A lot of amazing players are taking part from the land of China, from Southeast Asia, from around the Asia region. Oh boy, and we have our first series. Up first, we have Mokou versus KingSlayeR. Mokou, there we go. I keep having a hard time saying his name. Ay. But here we go. We're diving into game number 1 and spawning in the
paused.
Bottom right hand corner, as we do get a bit of a pause here. Looks like we might have a slight issue. Looks like we might end up remaking, or maybe there's a little bit of latency going on. Regardless, we will soon be diving into game number 1. Ooh, and yeah, we're going to be featuring 2 players that we have featured plenty of times on the channel. KingSlayeR, he is the rising star. I want to say he name changed like in 2021, but I remember casting KingSlayeR in the qualifiers for DreamHack for the China region. And KingSlayeR, he was popping off. He was looking very impressive. He was able to bring down players that otherwise I would assume were outside of his reach. Likewise, his Zerg opponent is also a well-known player as well, but we'll get into it. As in the bottom right-hand corner, oh, I should be adjusting this. There we go. In the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Ore, we have our Chinese Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Twisted Minds, and also the official observer of WTL. It is Mokou. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. It is KingSlayeR. It was a couple of years ago, I want to say it was 2021, where we casted KingSlayer's run, where he qualified through the open qualifiers into the closed qualifiers of the Asia region. I want to say he brought down players like Expect, brought down some big Terran players at the time in the region, and yeah, he was able to have a really surprising run and a really impressive run as well. So in my mind, he has been like an up-and-comer that's been improving over time over the past couple of years. He's been a little bit quiet as of late in the most recent months and recent year of StarCraft, but regardless, I do have high hopes here for KingSlayeR. Meanwhile, Mokou, aka Takanashi, aka Aku, aka Soy, he's a man of many names. He's got like 5 different IDs that he's gone through over the past, 3 years of us casting him. It's been very confusing. it's every single time, shaking my head. Every year it goes for a name change. Gonna be going by Mokou, I believe, currently. Fingers crossed, that's what we mainly know him as. Takanashi previously is our Zerg player. Was very active as well, was a rising star in the past years, but over the past 2 years, Mokou did become the official WTL caster. Sorry, not caster, observer. He's the observer for World Team League, and has been doing so for quite a couple of seasons now. So it's really cool to see that he's still involved somewhat in StarCraft. May not be committing as much time to competing and improving as a player, but is still a part of the scene nonetheless. So really cool to see that he did actually, join the forces of SCBoy and is working over at WTL. Not just WTL, but also Masters Coliseum, for example, Kung Fu Cup as well. Mokou is always there to make sure we all see what is going on, as we do have our first Reaper getting across the map, going to be threading those Lings. The dance has begun. The Reaper versus Lings. 1 Ling goes down already. Good pickup. Very nice pick up there by KingSlayeR. Also, famously, it was last year where we casted Mokou versus Honmono in the previous map pool on Ancient Cistern. That is a game that I will never forget. Honmono versus Mokou on Ancient Cistern. That was a smooch game. That was, if you know, you know. It was like a 50-minute game where Honmono, he had taken so much critical damage early on. I think he went down to 16 SCVs or down to like 15 or 14 SCVs, and Mokou had 3 base saturation, and Honmono refused to die. He built up towards 2 bases, 3 bases, played mech, turtled up, eventually got a 4th, eventually got a 5th, and Honmono clawed his way back into it despite having sub 20 SCVs and despite being so far behind, and won the game. Honmono, he won the game against Mokou, and yeah, that was a soul-crushing game, and I'll never forget. Aye. But you know, that was 2023. You know, that was a year ago, where we're brushing that off, getting into a new year, getting into a new qualifier, and we'll see if Mokou can bounce back here. Again, we'll see if his time observing StarCraft has been improving his play as well. For the time being, though, behind this, we're going for a third CC before Starport into a 1-1-1 setup. Everything looking as it should. We don't go for an add-on swap. We don't go for Banshees. Overlord is going to confirm the fact that there is no add-on swap. So no need for Spores, at least, to deal with Banshee play. We do get eyes on Stim. So we are fully aware that it's going to be Bio coming out from KingSlayeR. And KingSlayeR did historically play Bio. He might have played Mech once against Terran in TVT, but even then, I think I recall him mainly being a Bio-centric player. Very much so. As we're going to be responding with a Roach Warren. Interesting choice here from Mokou. He's going to be going for the Roach Warren, which can work wonders on a smaller map like Golden Aura. I just realized we haven't cast on Golden Aura in quite some time, but this is a very small map, has a short rush distance by ground. Overlords are being hunted down by the Viking. Good pickups here by KingSlayeR, getting one already. At the same time, Lings, they try to get us around. And it looks like they barely will. They barely will not. As the Hellions, they barely get away. We have reinforcing Hellions as well. One Hellion gets picked up, but we annihilate the Lings. Brutal loss there. Meanwhile, looking at the Unisource tab, that was 3 Overlords going down to the 1 Viking. He's crazy. He's going for another. Going for another Overlord. But at the same time, what I was getting at is that the rush distance by ground is very short on this map. Very short. And how do we make use of a short map? All in. Roaches, Lings, Ravagers are amassing as we speak. We're going for a Roach, Ravager, Ling all in here. We're flooding across the map. It's all or nothing. We're cutting workers here at 40. And our goal here is not just to break the third, but to break into the natural. And there are no Banshees to defend. There is a tank on the way, but it's still on the way. It's still in production here. It needs a little bit more time to really get going, as it looks like the tank is barely going to come out in time, but Lings are coming from behind. They're going to try and catch these Hellions. Yeah, they come in for this round. Hellions, they try to pivot the hell away. Good positioning here with the Hellions. Boys are being pulled. The Hellions, they avoid this around. Very nice control there by KingSlayeR. Very good movement. Does manage to slip away. The Hellions, they survive. The tank does siege. We do save most of those SCVs. Yeah, boys are being pulled to repair. We top up that depot. But Mokou, he's still committed here. Behind that wall, it should fall. And barely it will. But the question becomes, can we break the natural itself? We have a tank, we have a Liberator, we have plenty of Marines, we still have those Hellions to defend against the Lings. Speaking of, Lings are still in the back line. We're trying to bust in, and we pull the trigger. While they take down the Liberator, we're diving here on top of the tanks. Boys are being pulled, the tanks, they still stand strong. But the Wiles may just be too much. One tank falls, and so will the other. Yeah, we clean up all the tanks, we clean up the Liberators. Bunker may finish, but there's not much to actually fill in that bunker. 21 SCVs fell. And it looks like we just have too much. Mokou looking to snowball out of control here. He's already dealt critical damage. And he's droning, by the way. He's droning up back at home. Takes down another bunker. We do have a reinforcing tank, but at this point, all that we have to do is just to whatever damage we can to gain as much value as possible. We've already done the damage we were looking for, but picking up a couple of extra SCVs wherever we can. Gas Geyser. All of this is just a cherry on top, as we will not deny the upgrades. 1-1 does finish. 1-1 does complete. From here, Mokou is going to back off. And back at home, what do we have? We have 55 workers. We're happily droning, saturating our third base, working towards a lair, which just finished, which means we can go into Roach Speed. We can throw down some anti-air if we need to. Nah, we'll just commit here to Lingbane, Roach Ravager. No need to really mix things up and really get too complicated. And yeah, Mokou, he's looking good. He dealt critical damage, and I am getting deja vu. I just regaled you with a story about how Homeowner, he went down to less than 20 SCVs, and he was able to draw things out into a 15-minute game, and he beat Mokou. That did happen last year. Wait, I still can't remember if it was last year or the year before. Like, the years, they're blending together at this point. That did happen on Ancient Cistern. But Ancient Cistern, if you remember, in the last map pool is a much larger map. It's a larger map, longer rush distance. You know, you could argue that it's a little bit harder to be aggressive on a map like Golden Aura. I mean, if Mokou plays this out well enough, I don't see KingSlayeR expanding. I don't see how he's able to freely take a third and a fourth base. Like, honestly, Mokou, he can just remax and knock down those bases over and over again. At least he should be able to. But we'll see as KingSlayeR is pushing. He's moving out with his main army. He's distracting the forces of Mokou with his double drop. Gonna be consolidating his forces, bringing everything together. Rocks are being knocked down. The tanks are spotted. File's not quite going to be connecting. Yeah, so we're slowly sieging forward here. The rocks have still not gone down. They've still not been cleaned up. But at the same time, there it is. A big link counterattack. This is what I was worried about. So again, there's no way for KingSlayeR to freely expand as the counterattacks run by, as they just do not end. We got 5 more SCVs. We deny the third. KingSlayeR has to back off, rotate over. Catches a couple of lings. Does at least catch some lings here. As they do just ignore the army, they go straight for the mineral line. They get 1, they get 2 SCVs. Get 2 more workers. KingSlayeR going to be turtling up back at home. I mean, he's got a high tank count. He's slowly saturating his third base. Meanwhile, Mokou is on a 4th and now working on a 5th. Hive is done. Vipers are on the way. It's going to be a secure way to deal with these entrenched tank lines. Whether it's with blinding clouds or abductions, Vipers, they can have their way with those tanks. KingSlayeR does catch a queen. And I feel like, again, KingSlayeR, he wants Mokou to just run into this death pool of an army, run into the siege line. But the problem is that Mokou, again, he wasn't resting on his laurels, he was taking up. We have Vipers, we have soon-to-be Ultras as well. Mokou taking in every direction. I have 1-1 melee upgrades. Ultras, Adrenal, Viper Tech. What I will say is that the drone count is a little bit low. That is true. We're down to 69 workers. Nice. I mean, it's okay. it's not nice. Unfortunately. Nice is in a different portion of the bracket, actually. But he's in the qualifier. Wish Nice the best of luck. As again, we're just going to be droning back at home. We get up to 75 workers. It's around 4 base saturation. Still building up. Ultra's now on the way. And we see Mokou has maxed out. KingSlayeR, he has, for the most part, recovered. I'll be honest. KingSlayeR can take a fight. Like, if the stars align, if the Vipers get sniped ahead of time, or if they fumble their abductions, or they're blinding clouds, KingSlayeR, I mean, he's not that far behind in army supply. He's pretty comparable, actually. Over here come the Vipers. Yeah, blinding clouds are thrown down. They cover 4 of those tanks, and we are pushing on in. The choke point is brutal. The blinding clouds are running out, by the way. They do run out, but we are breaking through nonetheless. We get 3 tanks. 3 tanks go down at the same time. A big counterattack. The backstab is real. Yeah, Lings are falling. We're getting drone kills, but the Ultras, they have arrived just in time. If it wasn't for these Ultras, we could have broken this base. Lings would not have done anything to this army, but the Ultras do. Despite that, 4 SCVs go down, 10 drones go down. So KingSlayeR trading a little bit better here. Working towards 3-3, a little bit lopsided, but on the way nonetheless. 4th base is being taken after KingSlayeR won that fight and traded more efficiently. He lost a couple of tanks, but we're done with the tanks. We're getting into live mine. KingSlayeR is making a game out of this. I would still give Mokou the edge. I'll still say that Mokou, he has still quite an advantage here, but it's not as large as it once was. Well, can we get the Vipers? He wants them. Oh, weren't quite. Greens are going to be shut down. Are going to be cleaned up. KingSlayeR preparing his drop. Likewise, fortifying himself here with tanks, with liberators. Doing what Terran can do best, and that is just hunker down. Turtle it up. And again, just like the previous fight, he's hoping for Mokou to overextend and push into this. And take a bad fight. Now, it doesn't feel good, but what I would say in this position for Mokou, I mean, he is maxed out, so rolling Lingbane in isn't the worst idea to kill some SCVs. But he should be taking up further. What I mean by that is, like, yeah, he has Hive Tech, true, but we need to focus on our upgrades. We need a Spire, Greater Spire. Like, when you're up against this army, Greater Spire Infestor. Like, Brutal and Infestor is what the ideal that we want. So we should be headed in that direction, at least for upgrades and, you know, for air attack upgrades, fire attack even, Greater Spire, just to have the tech available. Just because this can turn into a longer game. And Mokou, he hasn't touched that tech at all. Mind Shot's going to be going off. Good power bombs here on the Medivacs. Good splits though. Decent splits, never mind. A lot of damage dealt to those Medivacs. A couple of them do go down. KingSlayeR panicking a little bit there towards the end. But you can see him just maxing out. He's doing it. Like KingSlayeR, he is evening up the supplies here. Now, what Mokou has is a bank. That is true. So, Mokou, he can take a fight, he can lose a fight, and he can remax. But as we mentioned before, because this map is so small, if you lose a fight too poor, or if you take too poor of a fight, then KingSlayeR, he can counterattack, he can kill a base. He can kill a base with that counterattack. Doesn't take long at all to get across the map, where a screen away, or 2 screens away. Nidusworm is on the way, Burrow. I'm still a little bit anxious that we haven't thrown down the Spire. I'm not saying that this army is bad, just saying that it's not the most efficient of armies. And as the game goes on, I mean, KingSlayeR, he gets a 5th. This is huge. He's gotten a 5th base, but he is spread thin. You know, we've got a couple of tanks and libs here towards the south. We've got a couple towards the north. We do snipe an Ultra. Ultra goes down. Mind Shot's going to be going off as well. Looks like we do find the libs. Decent Bailey connections there, but the Ultras, we are running out of steam, and we're going to be losing every single Ultra. Oof. And yeah, KingSlayeR, he cleans up the army. That was not a cheap army from Mokou. Looking at the trades here, he lost 5 Ultras, 20 Bailings, a bunch of Roach Ravager. What did he kill? 3 Libs, which was good. Killed 3 Liberators and 4 Ghosts. That's like the big notable kills there. Picked up at least some Ghosts, so KingSlayer's going to have to back off and remax. Mokou, what are we remaxing on? Lingbane Hydra. Okay, I mean, it's not a... again, it's not a bad composition. It's very mobile. That's the advantage here. A very mobile army. And I like the idea of rotating around and hitting the southern base. I love the idea of just trying to outmaneuver KingSlayeR here. As the libs and tanks, they're stationary units. The libs are stuck here towards the north. Tanks here towards the south. They're not fighting together in unison, so we can pick them apart. Ooh, oh god, that's not how we pick them apart though. That's big Mind Shot goes off of the Lings. Oh, you can still see the splatter of Lings there as well. As we have taken the entire map. For the most part, there's still one base here yet to be claimed. In the center left, another big Mind Shot goes off. Pushing up the ramp, we do yoink in one of those tanks and the lib. Yeah, tanks hitting yoinked in. Oh, that last tank was that last yoink was not ideal. Snipe's going to be going up. You can see KingSlayeR maintaining his army here. Was able to snipe a couple of Hydras. Again, still no Greater Spire, still no Infestors. So we're just sticking with Lingbane Hydra. Do we, if we're going for this, do we have Lurker Den? We don't. We don't have a Lurker Den either. So no Lunkers. Snipes going up here on the Lings. The Bailings. Now, if you're wondering what KingSlayeR is doing, I mean, as we mentioned before, he has to absorb an attack. He has to take a good fight, and then he can counterattack. Ooh, as he bleeds out a ghost. But basically, he's waiting for Mokou to overextend, take a bad fight, and then we can push out and either take down top right or bottom left. That's when KingSlayeR can counterattack. Ooh, as he's getting caught out. Oh, massive mine shot, though. Massive mine shot by the Bailings. They're rolling into the mineral line. SCBs are going to go down. Big damage here. 20 SCBs fall. And finally, Mokou is able to deal some economic damage to KingSlayeR. After at least initially. Widowmines are burrowing. I'm a little bit concerned that they're a little bit too close together here. Bailings can shut them down. The Knight is on the way just so we can rotate between the two fringe bases. Basically, these two Knights are connected so we can just bounce back and forth. KingSlayeR finally moving out to being a little bit more active. He has maxed out. Decent mine shots. Oh my god. Getting a queen. Another good connection on the Lings, but the Bailings are rolling forward. Ooh, friendly fire from the Widow Mines. Better connections towards the end there. Bit of a give and take with the Widow Mines. Killing Marines and killing Ling Bane. And again, that was a worthwhile trade for Mokou. The difference between these two final fights here from the Zerg player is he's been killing SCVs. The first time he killed 20 workers, now he killed 15. Like, this is pretty substantial. He's killing workers, crippling the economy. We can see KingSlayeR trying to expand. This is going to be a difficult base to take. The creep is already encroaching upon the base itself. There is an infestor burrowed. We're going for the yoinks. Ooh, big mine shots here. They kill the SCVs. And the Ling Bane. Shut down those Liberators. Scan reveals the infestor. KingSlayeR knows. Or hopefully he does. Oh my god. As one infestor goes down. There was a no fungal. A couple of ghosts to get picked off. A better fight for KingSlayeR as he does force back the army. We're instantly remaxing on more Lings. Instantly remaxing. Planetary's getting up and running. This position is still not quite fortified, but we find the other infestor. This position is still vulnerable. Very wide open. Mokou knows that. He wants to push in. Wants to break one of these positions here. Is rotating around towards the north. There are Widow Mines lying in wait. Ooh. Some okay connections, nothing major. There we go. KingSlayeR rotates, scans, sees the army. We're in for a long one, Bappy. I'm ready for it. Let's go. Now, Mokou, he's starting to run out of money here. He's going to be mining up. Actually, he's still got some fresh bases. Like, top right is still fresh. Like, bottom left, by the time KingSlayeR takes down this base, like, it should be fully mined out. There we go. We're collapsing on the planetary. Planning cloud here on top of the tank. Bailings are rolling in. They try to connect it with the ghosts. Good kiting here from KingSlayeR. He keeps all of his ghosts alive. And the snipes are good. But the problem is that even though he retained his ghosts, what did he lose? Lost Liberators, tanks, Marauders, Widow Mines. Expensive losses there. KingSlayeR just throwing down that mule hammer. So many mules. Oh my god. 18. That's 18 mules here from KingSlayeR. Jesus. 20 mules. Working hard. KingSlayeR going for his max army. Ooh, mine shot's gonna be going up, but we are out of position. We're going for the planetary, and the planetary should fall. Yeah, we get us around. Bailings crash in. We save a couple of SCVs, but 10 of them go down as well. And again, you can see how difficult it is for KingSlayeR to defend both locations at once. They are very spread apart. KingSlayeR unable to keep up with the mobility of Mokou's army. But KingSlayeR has a super maxed army. He's staying on a low SCV count. He's on 45 SCVs. And KingSlayeR, he is maxed. But once again, he's ready to receive here towards the south, and Mokou, he's over towards the north instead. KingSlayeR not where he needs to be. Let's push on board. Ooh, Mind Shot takes down a Viper. Very good Mind Shot there from KingSlayeR. Mokou rotating around. And towards that fourth, or towards the northern base. It catches a couple of SCVs. It's 5 SCVs, denies the CC, baits out some of those Widowmines, and we can keep pushing. Where the tanks, where the Liberators, the siege units, they're not here. Yeah, they're not here, and Mokou, we could try to collapse on this. We do pull back, though. Doesn't like what he sees. There it is. We spoke about a Greater Spire. The Greater Spire is now on the way. It's very late, and we are still lacking upgrades like, you know, Flyer Attack and Flyer Carapace. But we're getting there. Ooh, even Mokou taking the base of KingSlayeR. Bold move. Running into a minefield. Yeah, but he's going for the Planetary. Planetary wasn't all repaired. Planetary is going to be going down. Not the best link bait connections, and I think now we have to counterattack. Now is the time. Base has been spotted. Planetary falls. Mokou, he's remaxing here with Link Bane, and yeah, KingSlayer's pushing. He's pushing towards bottom left. We spoke about it. It's already mined out. There's 2 mineral patches left. Sorry, 1 mineral patch left. Claiming this base doesn't matter. Not anymore. At the same time, top right is being shut down. Oh, Mokou, he sees all those ghosts. He's salivating. He wants them. He wants the ghosts. Oh, and he barely does miss them. Barely doesn't get the ghost in the end. Good snipes going up. The ghosts are they're exposed. They are exposed. Big fumble as well. We catch. What is that? 6 ghosts go down. Big pick off there. At the same time, KingSlayeR did take down bottom left. He's going for the center base. We'll claim that as well. Gets 2 hatcheries. Mokou is racing back home. We have to get the hell out of here. We have to pick up. Pick up the queens. Medivacs are low. Yeah, the army's overstim. Medivacs are being focused down. Oh, we do barely escape. Do barely make it out. Ooh. Oh my god, massive mine connections there. Link Bane is trickling in, and here come the ghosts. No splits. We get 2 ghosts instantly. Every ghost counts. As KingSlayeR, he's running out of steam, running out of money. He's got 2 patches left here in the center, 2 patches left here at the third. He needs top right, but we are mining from it. And Mokou, he's still got a 5k bank. He can do this all day, Papi. He can do this all day. Mokou does spot the rotation. We have to make a choice. Do we go for this center base, or do we go for the ghosts? Yeah, we're going for the base. We're already here, right next to it. So we roll into the planetary. Yeah, the planetary goes down. The orbital as well. And we can keep on pushing, and Mokou has finally done it. It took a while. It took half an hour. Remember, this started with a 2-base all-in. This started with a Roach Ravager Ling all-in from Mokou that did cripple KingSlayeR, but KingSlayeR, he made a game out of this. He survived. He turned this into a 30-minute game, maxed out a couple of times, but the bank is a little bit too good here, and Mokou can still just keep remaxing. That's a lot of, oh my god, how many Liberators? 13. That's a lot of libs, Papi. And here we go, the Lib Ghost Army. pushing towards the top right. We should be able to take down this northern base. And that will deny mining from Mokou. Remember, Mokou, he lost his southern hatchery. He lost the gold. But Mokou doesn't care about mining. Not anymore. It's too late for that. Mine shots, not ideal. Better mine shot towards the end. But we're crashing into the main base. We can't be the production. Mokou is going for the kill. And again, KingSlayeR sniping these bases. It's a little bit too little too late. Just took too long to really get going. As Mokou is going for the final mining bases. Gets the planetary. KingSlayeR is racing back home. Refusing to give up. Not like this. God, as the freedom has arrived, and I mean, we are going to be able to liberate all these lings in the main. True. We will liberate the lings and the bailings. We should clean this up. At the same time, oh my god, how many mules is that? 11. No, the mule hammer was real, but they're running into the death. It's just lings from all around. From the left and the right, there's no safe place here. One mule survives. He gets out. The one mule. And KingSlayeR, he has 0 mining. He has no more mining bases here. He does have an army to work with. But he's floating over his orbitals. Bit of a desperation move here out of KingSlayeR. Mokou taking the bases here of the Terran. Just mass expanding. Making sure he just strips away as much as he can. We'll bleed out an Infestor. Mokou remaxing. Still remaxing here as, yeah, he comes across the final mining base. We could just go for the elimination, I'll be honest. We could just try to kill all the buildings. That is an option here for Mokou. Yeah, KingSlayeR has to turn back around. Buildings, they're gonna stop burning. And KingSlayeR is coming back. I mean, he's got a large army, but... and he can take a fight. Scan barely does miss that Infestor. Blings, they're going ham. Oh, there's 2 more Raxes left. We're gonna go down to 1. And KingSlayeR, he can't even repair. Like, he doesn't have the money for it. He's down to 4 minerals. Doesn't have the resources. The final SCB. No, get out of here. The SCVs are falling. Oh, it's a kill in the orbital. And it's going to come down to the final units here of KingSlayeR. He's getting picked apart. The Yoinks. The Yoinks are, again, a little bit brutal. They're taking down what few units are left. What do we have to work with? We're down to 7 libs, 12 ghosts. Now, what we have right here is a classic, oh, we actually still have patches. We still have 2 patches in the main. Let's go. We have mining. I was gonna say that this is a classic state of Terran copium, right? Like, I didn't. We see this quite often. You know, this is Exhibit A of being with 2 mineral patches left. We can make it. We can make it work. There's a world out there. If Mokou detonates all of his own bailings, if he runs his lings into the libs, and circles through the liberation zones a couple of times and loses everything, then maybe. Look, if you have a friend out there, if you know a Terran that's addicted to copium, then reach out, okay? They need help. They oh no. This is reminding me. I need to reach out to my Asher. Oh god. Not like this. Not like this. As hey, we take down the base. We do claim a base. You know, we're gaining ground. Mokou waiting for his moment to collapse on this. Honestly, he could just push forward. His Hydra count, how many Hydras do we have? 17. We have enough Hydras to A-move it, I believe. Like, it can be scary pushing into all this freedom, right? Like, freedom, it's a terrifying thing. So it can be difficult just, like, A-moving into this. But I do feel like we have enough, especially depending on the angle of attack as well. Speaking of, we're rotating around. Oh, I say that. My apologies. Mokou is running out of minerals. He's maxed. Like, he can still win a fight with his army, but KingSlayeR has actually burned through the mineral bank of Mokou, which is impressive. I mean, Mokou's still mining, but okay. Is there a world, right? Because we can mule. Like, we have energy-based mining here for KingSlayeR, so we can mule. If Mokou is too careless with his lings, and if he is denied this northern base, can KingSlayeR somehow pull this off? Am I huffing too much copium? Am I? I mean, because of these two bases mining, like, it's kind of a moot point. But if we can deny the mining here, then maybe. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not very bright. It's smudging a little bit. Let's see, we go. We're coming in. We end up yoinking some of those liberators. There we go. 4 libs go down. Ooh, big mine shots. Massive connection there on the lings. But that was still worth it for Mokou. That was still worth it. How many libs? He got 5 liberators for 33 lings and a viper. Still worth it for the Zerg. Again, you can see Mokou burning through his gas. There it is, the broods! We spoke about this like 30 minutes ago, or 25 minutes ago. We spoke about how Mokou needed to get ready for the broodlords, and he's finally getting there. He relents. He gives in. He's like, you know what? Fine. I'll make the goddamn broodlords. What are our upgrades looking like? Okay, 3-3. Oh, a +3 air attack at least. My apologies. Don't have +3 air carapace. Only attack. But it's fine. It's good enough. We are going to be sniping some of those overseers. We're down to 4. Oh! Oh, good. Down to 4 overseers. We have more broodlords on the way. I am still a little bit uneasy about this. Again, it should still be in the bag here for Mokou. But I have seen Zerg players die from this position, as we're even long distance mining from the bases of KingSlayeR. We're taking his money. We're taking it. Mokou, you're an animal. Ooh, big mine shot there on the Vipers. Both Vipers go down. Again, you can see that KingSlayeR, he has been trading more efficiently. Wait, I want to have a look here. He has been trading more efficiently here throughout the game, but it's all about the mining. And now the broodlords, they have been revealed. They're bullying back the army of KingSlayeR. The orbital goes down. And this is it. The death march has finally started. The broodlords have arrived. We mined through the bases here of KingSlayeR. We've mined through. And yeah, there is no way out. He is cornered, forced to fight, forced to engage. Snipes one, gets 2 broodlords. That's all he's gonna get. We have anti-air. GG gets called, and Mokou does it. He takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. As Mokou does take game number 1 after a very long, grueling game as well. Remember, this all started with a 2-base all-in. It was a 2-base all-in at a Mokou. He crippled the economy. He knocked KingSlayeR down to 20 SCVs, and Mokou, he had like the entire map to himself. So a big shout to KingSlayeR because hold on. No. Oh, shoo. Okay, I was almost left behind. Thank God. Almost left behind there. Look, at this point, I'm invested. I have to see how the story ends. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So Mokou had a massive lead early on, went for his Ling Roach Ravager all in. He crippled KingSlayeR. But a big shout to KingSlayeR because, hey, despite being so far behind, he clawed his way back in. He was able to max out, able to get up to 5 bases, struggled to get a 6th base. That was the turning point, his endeavors in attempting to expand and take a 6th, and was unable to. But for the most part, Mokou, he was able to take advantage of his advantage, right? He swallowed up the entire map, took every single base. I was a little bit critical of Mokou. I do think that he could have teched up faster into a more efficient army. We saw how many links he was bleeding out, and we could have seen a faster Greater Spire and faster transition into Broodlords, which would have secured things a lot faster as well. We got there in the end, eventually. Did get there. And now we're getting into game numero dos. The series will continue, and our players did switch sides, so give me a moment to set up our player names. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our Red Zerg player representing Twisted Minds, and also, of course, the official observer of World Team League. It is Mokou. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Blue Terran player representing Mystery Gaming. Whew. That's really making a game out of that last game, refusing to give up, is down in this series, but more than willing to bounce back. It is KingSlayeR. Oh boy. Alright, I need a moment. I need to look away from the screen. I'll catch up in the chat. I'll catch up. That Mulehammer. That was an insane Mulehammer. Oh, right. Sorry. During the game, I didn't give you a proper shout out, but a big shout out to Paramount. Big shout out to Paramount _ for the Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Hope you have been enjoying your time here. Hope you've been enjoying the content, enjoying the casting, and even enjoying that game. I know it was a bit of a long one, but, you know, we enjoyed ourselves. It was all in good fun. So thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your emotes. If you wish, you can join our Discord server and you will gain access to replay packs. We do provide replay packs to our subscribers on a pretty regular basis of events that we have permission to share replay packs of. So plenty of replays available if you're interested in that sort of thing. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you for the support. Do appreciate it. You've got the medical grade copium tank on when you're breathing deep. Yeah. Like, it was a big tank, pop. It was a big tank. Aye. Here we go. Whew. As we are going to be settling into our game, it is going to be a Racked Expand setup here from KingSlayeR. Pretty standard opener so far. We do see Mokou going for his own Hatch Gas Pool. Is going to be denied his 3rd base. Is going to be delayed here. Force him within that Gas Geyser. And the Reaper is going to attempt to get a kill on that drone. And can we get on top of it? At the same time, we have 6 Lings. 6 Lings were produced. Drone heading over towards the linear 3rd base location instead. And, ooh. We do barely cancel in time. We save the drone. Reaper tries to go for the tumor, but alas won't be able to. Mokou will hold. And this 3rd base has been delayed. That is true, but at least we get it up and running. And so far, we have kept that drone alive. As it will be able to waddle away. Does make it back home. Does make it. Meanwhile, a shout out to us, Senor Sando, papi. Thank you, Sando. Thank you for the gift, for the bits. Do appreciate it. Again, all the money that we make here goes towards our tournaments. We do host Sparkly and Tuna Cup, a weekly open tournament every single week, and we also host amateur events as well, like Duckling Open and Master Swan Open as well. So, yeah, all the money that we make here goes towards that prize pool. Thank you. Do appreciate it. As behind this, we're getting into our 3rd CC. It was a 3rd CC before Starport into Banshees. As a reminder, in Game 1, it was a 3cc opener into faster stim. This time, KingSlayeR is opening up safely with Banshees instead. So much more safer standard opener from KingSlayeR. Overlord goes in. Overlord does confirm everything here in that main base. As we do get eyes on the Cloak, we do get eyes on the Banshee. Mokou is aware. We see We know. So with this scouts, we're going to be able to prepare back at home with spores. We should be able to throw down some spores back at home alongside plenty of queen production, getting ready for the Hellion harass. And because we're aware of the third base timing, we can be a little bit greedier as well. We can be greedier as Hellions are forced back. What I mean by that is that we can opt to delay the lair. We can delay the lair, we can delay the Baneling Nest, and we can go for double Evo Chamber into upgrades, and then into our lair and into that Baneling production. We'll see if Mokou does opt to cut some corners. Or he chooses not to. Is going lair first. Okay. So a safe response here at a Mokou. Lair first means we get to go into a bit of a faster Overseer Scout alongside faster Baneling speed. Baneling Nest should be thrown down at around the halfway mark, lined up with the completion of the lair. Meanwhile, let's go. I did miss this. And I said earlier that I think we've seen KingSlayeR play mech against Terran. And now he's whipping out the mech against Zerg. That is 2 more factories on the way. And look yourselves in, everyone. We have to enjoy the Cyclone while we can, because the Cyclone is going to be changed in the upcoming patch. And we spoke about it during the podcast a couple of days ago. We spoke about how the change was listed to change TVT, and it will change TVT, but it will also change Battle Mech. It will change the way that the new Cyclone does, how effective it is against Zerg. We have seen Mass Cyclone work wonders. Bjorn has been going Mass Cyclone recently. He recently beat Solar in East 11 Cup of Asia. Took a game with Mass Cyclone. Mara's been whipping it out. Clem, Hero Marine, Big Gabe. And here even a KingSlayeR getting ready to make it happen. Ooh, that's a kill! That's a kill, not a cancel! Hatchery does go down. Big pick off. Hellions, they do barely work their way through those lings. They do manage to squeeze on by. Massive pick off there from KingSlayeR. Again, a kill, not a cancel. Wait, am I crazy? Yeah, there it is. Kill, not a cancel. 300 minerals down the drain. Mokou is stuck on 3 bases, and there it is. We have Hurricane Thrusters and Blue Flame on the way for the Terran. And we have yet to really confirm what's going on. Big lane counterattack. Where are the Hellions? The Hellions, they were across the map. They're still racing back home, and SCVs are going down. Hellions out of position. We get 9 SCV kills. Good counter damage dealt here by Mokou. Very necessary damage because of the killed hatchery. We did need to pull that off. Meanwhile, Cyclones are amassing. And they have been revealed. Here comes that Overseer Scout that we spoke about when it comes to the faster lair. We do confirm the production, the setup. And behind this, we know to get into +1 range. And we already have the Roach for it. So we're getting into Roach Ravager Ling Bane. Or Roach Ravager Ling. The ideal against Battle Mech. There were players that were playing around with Ling Hydra Viper last patch, last season. But with the new Cyclone Ling Hydra Viper, it's too fragile. It's just too fragile here against new Cyclone. It just crumbles before it. Roaches are a necessity. And KingSlayeR is moving out. A little bit premature. Hurricane Thrusters is still a couple of seconds off. But so far, we are getting away with it. Tumors are being shut down. A lot of tumors, actually. 4th base has gotten back up and running. Queens are pushing forward. We transfuse at the same time. A big link counterattack once again. We get across the map. SCVs are going down. A good run by here by Mokou. At the same time, the Queens, they hold the line. They transfuse the Roaches. Lings, they turn back around. They catch some of the Cyclones. And all in all, a good defense here and a good offense from Mokou. Does bleed out a couple of drones. Ooh, as a Liberator is going ham. Oh my god. Getting 5 workers across the map. Do you get 5 drones? At the same time, we're going to be waddling on forward here. A little bit of an overextension, a big overextension by Mokou. He brings the Queens. Oh my god. He wants to go for the kill. He wants to go for the throw. The Queens have arrived. But again, I feel like we were a little bit too excited, and every Queen is going to be going down. This was not the play. This was not the push, Papi. Oof. A pretty big loss there by Mokou. Again, just misjudging the situation. And do we have any queens left? We have 1. We have 1 queen remaining. Our production is going to be impacted here. We're not going to have injects. At least our next wave of injects is going to be heavily delayed. We don't have any more queens on the way. as the game progresses, Mokou, he's in a bit of trouble, actually. Like, he's on less drones than there are SCVs. Like, KingSlayeR has a better economy. He's working towards a 4th as we speak. Mokou still has to saturate his own 4th. Yeah, there we go. He's droning. Mokou, he's droning up as best he can. We still only have the 1 queen. And yeah, you can see those injects are running out. That 1 queen is racing in between the bases to inject. Oh, that 1 queen. Putting the work in. Let's go. It's rallied to every single hatchery. Gets it injects. We gotta go. There we go. 3 more queens on the way. And KingSlayer's in this. He is in this. Very much so. The Mass Cyclone. Ooh, getting caught out a little bit. And we do bleed out 2, 3 Cyclones. Almost getting a 4th. As we do get the Liberator. But this is so dangerous. Like, again, as you can see here, pushing off a creep with roaches, like, you get punished so hard. As we bleed out a wave of roaches. Like, if you push off creep, you have to commit, or you have to be confident in your play. And interesting, we're going to be going for a different route here. We're going for some Swarm Hosts. Okay. Alright, Mokou. You have my attention. Swarm Hosts are on the way. Cyclones are amassing. Swarm Hosts have yet to be revealed. Scan doesn't get eyes on them. And these Swarm Hosts have potential to really pop off. Now, I don't like Swarm Hosts fighting against Cyclones. I do think that Cyclones can, because they're so mobile, they can catch Swarm Hosts quite easily. As I say that, okay, there we go. Locust Wave is going to be going off. We do dive on top of the Cyclones, and we will be cleaned up. We get a handful of Cyclones. Again, not the best Locust Wave. Now, what's concerning is that the first Locust Wave is typically the strongest, as you're able to have a bit of a surprise factor in your favor. But now we are aware. And now, that's dead supply. That's a bunch of supply that can't do anything right now, and we're going for a counterattack. That's what's scary about Swarm Hosts, is that you do leave yourself vulnerable after a Locust Wave. And that's exactly when KingSlayeR pushes. Yeah, he's diving on top of the Roach Ravager. He's going to clean up every single one. The Roach Ravager does crumble there. And again, that's the danger of going Swarm Host. We do have another Locust Wave. We are ready. But drones are going down so quickly. Locust Wave has been revealed, and Cyclones, they can just kite away. They can avoid it. And we get 17 drone kills. Aye, aye, aye. Locust Wave runs out. We can dive on top of the Roaches. Now, Mokou, he is maxing out on Roach Ravager, but once again, like, the soup does lie, and a lot of that supply is in Swarm Host. They're on cooldown, they're not helping, the base falls. We are getting caught out, bit of a miss rally there from KingSlayeR. We get a tank, get a couple of Psychos, tanks are exposed! Tanks are exposed, big pickoffs here by Mokou. Gets another 3 or 4 tanks. He's gonna get them all. Whilst they do connect, but we're also bleeding out a lot of Ravagers. An expensive trade here by Mokou. 1 tank survives. It wasn't the worst trade. We still have Swarm Hosts. The problem is the drone count. Again, we have 64 workers. That is 3 base saturation, to be honest. Like, that's not a lot of drones. We can't sustain these losses. Mokou, he's running out of steam. KingSlayeR is getting a 5th base and a 6th base on location. KingSlayer's running away with this. We need to do some counter damage. We need to kill a base. Locust Wave is coming in. We do get on top of these Cyclones. For a moment. Yeah, the Locust Wave melts. We're getting on top of those Swarm Hosts. This is why I'm not too fond of Swarm Hosts, specifically against Battle Mech. It's good against traditional mech, but here against Cyclones, we chase them down. And the Swarm Hosts, they're so vulnerable. So many of them get picked off. At the same time, ooh, a bit of a cheeky Roach run by. Getting a lot done. Yo, give this man 3 Roaches and we kill 12 SCVs, 13 SCVs. Very good counterattack, very necessary counterattack there by Mokou. Denies the 6th for a little bit longer. Does delay the 6th base. Behind this, we can see Mokou still not droning, still prioritizing roaches and swarm hosts. This is not a fight to take. Not a fight for Mokou. Yeah, there's just not enough roaches here. We're breaking through the line. We're getting on top of the Ravagers. Once again, a very expensive loss there for Mokou. He gets caught out. Yeah, he does get caught out. The wave of Cyclones does continue. We're making 10 Cyclones at a time, by the way. Ay, ay, ay. The Cyclones, papi. Let's go. Meanwhile, Locust Wave gets across the map. Getting a couple of SCVs. Very important damage here. Forces back the army. And Mokou, he does buy himself a little bit of breathing room by forcing KingSlayeR back. But, oh, only a moment of reprieve because KingSlayeR this time is pushing once again with tanks this time. Very brutal attack here. As the tanks are slowly pushing forward. Roaches, Ravagers, they pile down one of the tanks, but so many go down in the process. Yeah, you can see here Mokou struggling to hold on, going for another Locust Wave across the map. He runs into reinforcements. The Locust Wave does knock it onto the base. Or barely does, actually. But a quick reaction out of KingSlayeR. He picks up, he breaks into the natural, getting into the mineral line. We're camping the production. The tank covering the retreat here. Yeah, just really efficient trades from KingSlayeR. Like, a meching player with a better economy and with a more efficient army, of course, is a terrifying thing. It's the economy here that's really just pushing him forward. GG gets called, and KingSlayeR ties up the series 1-1. We're going to the ace match. Let's go. GG. We are going to game number 3. Whew. And with that, I mean, it's going to come down to our final game here. Where exactly are we headed? How will this story end? KingSlayeR succeeding quite a bit here with his mech. Again, he did a great job at hiding it for a while, and I was not in love with the choice of going Swarm Host there. We saw that it never really paid for itself. We were able to pick off a couple of Cyclones, a couple of SCVs from time to time, but no major damage from the Swarm Host. As we mentioned, the weakness of Swarm Host against Battle Mech is because Battle Mech is so mobile. You can hunt down those Swarm Hosts, you can hunt down the Nidus Worms, and you can punish that period where your Locust Wave is on cooldown, right? You can punish the Swarm Host quite hard, or the Zerg player quite hard in that moment. And we saw that KingSlayeR was able to do that quite often as well. And not just that, to be fair, like winding it back a little bit, it also did come down to the fact that we had Mokou. Overextend early on. Remember, he was able to clean up a Hellion harassing force, and then he pulled the Queens. If you remember, the Queens, they waddled across the map, and we just misread the situation. We misread the state of the game, and in that moment, we saw Mokou lose every single Queen. And basically, as soon as that happened, KingSlayeR took momentum. He took control of the game. He was able to get ahead economically. If you remember, that's when he took the worker lead. He was able to get ahead in bases. Able to just really get into his game. And Mokou did fall behind. GG. GG, well played. This is TVZ now on ladder every game. Is this the Maru Greedy build? This was not the Maru Greedy build. I do know what you're referring to. That build was actually showcased by Björn before IEM. If you've been watching the channel, you would have seen the ESL Open Cups. Björn did it against Raynor on Alcyone. In the ESL Open Cups. That was back in January or December, I think. But yeah, again, like it is a build that, or I should say specifically, Battle Mech has been permeating through the pro scene. Björn has been whipping it out, Maru has been whipping it out, Clem, Hero Marine, a lot of the Terrans. They don't just play it, they just sprinkle it in. They sprinkle it into like a best of 5. They still heavily rely on bio. But Battle Mech does have a place here, at least for now. As I mentioned before, with the upcoming change to the Cyclone, that's going to be a big nerf to Battle Mech, to be honest. Specifically, if you were reading the patch notes, they're changing the cooldown period on the Cyclone from 0 seconds to 2.8, like basically 3 seconds, which is massive because that is going to impact how well and how easily Cyclones can kite and relock on and just like punish like Zerg armies and chase them down. That 3-second lock-on period is a pretty big change, and I do believe that it is gonna impact this matchup specifically quite a bit as a result. But we'll see. We'll see once it gets implemented. We'll see how much of an impact it is. As we're getting into game number 3, the ace match, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our Chinese Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Twisted Minds, and of course the people over at SCBoy and WTL, the observer himself. It is Mokou. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Mystery Gaming. Ooh, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. It is KingSlayeR. They buffed the health of the Cyclone. They did buff the health of the Cyclone. But again, I do think that lock-on supersedes or is a bigger nerf than the health change is a buff to the Cyclone. Like specifically, just because it does affect its utility and its micro ability. That's the big change there, is that a player with good micro, as we've seen with especially Byun and Maru, if you've been watching them play mech, like they never let the lock-on like ever really run out, right? It's like they're always on you. If it ever does break, like they're just on you immediately after as well. Like the DPS that Cyclones do in the hands of like these top tier Terrans is crazy. But giving that cooldown, that does mean now there's counterplay. Now Zerg players can intentionally break the lock-on, can micro against it, and then once the lock-on is broken, the Terran players punish for that as well. As there's like, again, that second period, that 3-second period where you just can't, where you lack the DPS. So I do like the change in general, but yeah, it may impact Battle Mech quite heavily to the point where we don't see it as much anymore. Which, I mean, it's up to you if you believe that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? I think for a very long time, Battle Mech was very niche, and I don't know if we want it to stay niche, right? Like, I feel like it comes down to what we want from the game and what we want from competitive play, right? Like, I feel like there's a sect of players or a sect of people, and I don't know where I am, but I feel like there's people that's like, you know, mech should just be viable, right? Like we should give Terran the option to play mech and to play bio. And for a very long time, like mech wasn't viable, and arguably right now it's still like done every now and then. But like, do we want to get rid of it? Do we want it to, you know, be an option? Do we want it to be more popular? Do we want it to be better than bio? Like, like these are the questions that like the balance team and the balance council, like they have to ask themselves and figure out like what kind of direction they want to take the game in. Yeah, it's something to think about when it comes to the viability of mech and like, again, how good you want it to be or how bad you want it to be, right? I think right now it's jarring because for so long mech was bad, right? Like for so long mech just is something that like Gumiho does, or you see it in TVT. You never see it against Protoss, obviously. Like even with the new Cyclone, mech is still not viable against Protoss. But like because we're used to seeing it in that state, like we probably feel like that's the norm and that's how it should be. So it's kind of hard to like break that mold if that's where, you know, people want to take it. Yeah, no, just something interesting to think about. Like it's less about balance and more about like game design, I guess, of what we want. As we are going to be settling into game number 3, the ace match. Okay, standard openers. I went on a little bit of a tangent there because standard openers, it's going to be, oh, okay, yeah, it's going to be a 3rd CC for Starport into Banshee. This is the same build as game 2. This is the same build as game number 2 here for KingSlayeR. Getting into his 3cc into Banshee play. Now this can, as we saw, this can lead into mech, this can lead into additional factories, or it can lead into bio, it can lead into additional Raxes. So we'll see what direction KingSlayeR wants to take it in, as we are going for a lair first. Okay, lair first here from our Zerg. Was around a 4-minute 40-ish lair timing. Interesting. Is going to be a lair first. I'm keeping my eye out here for the drone counts. For the time being, we are still droning, so it looks like we're not going for a Ling Queen Nidus all in. This should just be a lair into a baleen nest, but Mokou has been very fond of roaches. Even in game 1, when it was against Bio, we still saw a Roach Warren out of our Zerg player. So we'll see what kind of tech we do throw down. There it is. Baleen Nest has been chosen. It is going to be the mech. There we go. Double factory going to be on the way. The Ling! No shot. The Ling gets in. Big scout Mokou. He gets eyes very early on, and he sees both factories in production. Roach Warren has been thrown down. He cancels the Baleen Nest. And unlike the previous game, Mokou is now fully aware of what's going on. Remember, last game, Mokou, he missed the scout. He was denied it, and he didn't know what was happening until the mid-game. This time, he's a lot more aware. He's a lot more aware, going for the Roach one immediately. Banshees, they do rock up across the map. Queen's going to be rotating over. They are going to be rotating over here. Keeping up with said Banshees. Behind this, third base is getting saturated, and for the time being, Mokou is going to be able to maintain himself. There are Hellions to threaten him, but honestly, not too many. Looking at the units tab, 3 Hellions out of the map. We have 7 back at home ready for a counterattack. I do like this adaptation from KingSlayeR. If you remember, last game when KingSlayeR was a little bit too aggressive, he was being punished time and time again by Ling run-bys. We saw Mokou go for constant Ling run-bys. So this time it feels like KingSlayeR, he's a little bit paranoid about that, and he's keeping Hellions in that mineral line, at least for now. So a much more defensive position. Behind this, they're making 8 Cyclones at a time. That's a lot of the Cyclowns. They're back, Poppy. They're back. Let's go. 4 CC is on the way, so we're not going for a 3-base all-in. We're building up towards a longer game. And again, this time, the Zerg player is fully aware of what's happening. And we are having much better preparation here. Now, we do have the Infestation Pit. I would like to see Infestors instead of Swarm Hosts this time. Again, the Infestor was changed in the new patch as well to have a Fungal once it pops out, and Fungals can be massive here on Cyclones. For the time being, we're going for a big counterattack once again as KingSlayeR pushes in. Lings, they do push out. As they get into the mineral line, SCVs are going down. The move out was punished. And I was praising KingSlayeR for being ready for a Ling run by, but not with his move outs. 17 SCVs go down the entire mineral line. Ay, ay, ay. We've lost a lot of workers here. Roaches, they are going to be pushing in. Tanks are sieging. And Mokou, he just has to back off. Like, the damage has been done. He's going to bleed out a couple of roaches. We just have to calm things down. Back off. We've crippled the economy already. And Mokou, okay, he's droning. Phew. I was going to be like, are we going to max out? The queens have arrived again. Oh, I'm getting a bit of deja vu. As we're going for a bit of a pause. Thankfully, we're pausing not in the middle of a fight. Thankfully, we're not disrupting any kind of big engagement. So it looks like we have some hockey issues here that we should be resolving and getting back into this. But again, I do appreciate that unlike game number 2, this time Mokou, like, he's preparing the creep, he's knocking down the rocks, he's droning behind this, working on 1-1. He's not going fully all in like we saw previously, and at risk of failing the all in as well.
Game resumed.
There we go. The creep is being set up. Mokou getting ready for his maxed out push at the third base. Now, how many tanks do we have? We have 2 tanks so far, making 2 at a time, soon to be 4. Now, this position is pretty well fortified is what I will say. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to break. But again, only 2 tanks. We can come in from multiple angles. That creep is spreading. Oh, we do catch the queens! Not like this. The queens that left exposed are all going to go down. The tumors, they will stand strong, but hopefully that wasn't every single queen this time. I'm hoping. Okay, we kept 3 queens back at home. At least we're not down to 1 this time. But once again, the queens, they do get cleaned up. Creep is being denied. We can see Mokou trying to retain those tumors, but he won't be able to. As once again, we are going into Swarm Host. Now, What I will say is that I do like Stormhost in a better position here just because Mokou's in control of the game. Well, he's in better control of the game this time. But it still makes me uneasy because KingSlayeR, he only made a handful of tanks. He's not going for a tank-heavy style. He's still making 5 Cyclones. It's still a very mobile army, so you're gonna have to convince me. I'm ready. I'm ready. Mokou, he's cooking, Papi. He's cooking. Let him cook. Nidus is finishing up. Ooh, Planetary looking exposed. We can target this. We can target that Planetary. And that first Locust Wave can get a kill. At the same time, though, we're pushing right through the center. So far, we're unfazed. Again, we're trying to slow this down. We have to buy time for this Locust Wave to reset. As we dive on the Planetary, we're going to try to focus it down, and it looks like we... can we get it? It's going to be close. It's going to be close, and we will get the Planetary. Massive Locust Wave there from Mokou. Already dealing damage. And again, he has to buy time for that Locust Wave to reset. In that period, Queen's going to be going down. We're threatening the hatchery. Base will fall. Drones were evacuated. They are saved. And the Swarm hosts are getting ready. Now, I do appreciate that KingSlayeR, he actually left his Hellbats. He left his Hellbats to protect those tanks from the Locust Wave. Speaking of, here it comes. We're going for the surround. Locust Wave from one end, Roach Ravager from the other. We collapse on the tanks. Cyclones are falling. Not a bad trade there from Mokou. How many tanks did he get? He got 22 Cyclones. Oh, Jesus. It hasn't been updated. Got the Cyclones, got some Hellbats. Oh, actually didn't get a tank. But again, we're buying time. We're waiting for another Locust Wave. And again, KingSlayeR is stuck on 3 bases. Still has not replaced that 4th. And even though KingSlayeR killed a hatchery, it's not the same. We retain our drone counts. Not the highest drone count. We're still on 3 base saturation. Like, Mokou is still playing very all in. He has a super maxed army, essentially. Oh, and that's a lot of tanks. That is a lot of tanks. Here we go. Locust Wave is pushing out. Yeah, Biles are going to be connecting. We're breaking through the tank line. And even if the Cyclones survive, we take down every single tank. There it is. 7 tanks full. And KingSlayeR, he just can't rebuild. He doesn't have the economy. He doesn't have the production to sustain these kind of losses here. Trying to remax with his Cyclones. And Mokou so much more in control here. Again, a faster scout. Much more decisive play with his Swarm hosts. Much more conservative approach with his Queens. Again, Mokou, he learned from the last game. He adapted from game 2. And we're going for the Planetary again. We're going for the CC. Now, it can lift. It can lift. It can be saved. So the Locust Wave might not deal enough damage. We're going to have to cancel the base, though. Depending on what we go for. We're going for the SCVs. Yeah, we cancel the Planetary. We do lift. But 13 SCVs go down. Ooh, a couple of Storm hosts are going to be thrown away. Don't think that was intentional. We do catch some Storm hosts. Getting good movement with those Cyclones. Nidus Worm finally goes down. And can KingSlayeR recover from here? Can he recover? As he is trying to establish the space. Ooh, a little bit greedy. That is not a Planetary. I mean, it's a bit of a give and take. Because it's an orbital, we can always lift it. We can always lift up. But as I say that, the Locust Wave, they go for the 3rd instead. I'm not getting as much damage done. They get a couple of depots. They get 4 SCVs. 4 SCVs, Nidus Swarm is shut down. Oh, the tanks are exposed! No, as the Cyclones, as they catch the Nidus, the tanks, they do go down. Biles connecting with the CC. With a couple of workers. As KingSlayeR, he's still struggling to hold on here. Focus save continuing. Headed for the mineral line. And once again, we catch some workers. Oh, that's going to be 11 dead workers here. The Deepers, the Gas Guys, the Swarmers to get the hell out of there. We're pulling KingSlayeR apart. He just can't keep up. Liberator gets wild. The tanks are shut down once again, resetting that tank count, getting the final Liberator with those vials. And even if Mokou loses this army, it's already paid for itself. He will bleed out a lot of it. Oof. That's a lot of Ravagers getting shut down. But again, we can remax. Behind this, we have droned up a little bit. We've droned up to 72. That full base saturation. Have plenty of bases up and running. Again, KingSlayeR, he just hasn't had the opportunity to counterattack. He's been stuck defending at home the entire time. Finally, he's going to be pushing. He's had enough. He's had it up to here. Is moving out. But again, this army is nowhere near as threatening as it once was. Like, there are no tanks. There's only one Liberator. It's only Cyclone. On creep as well. And we shut down quite a lot of them. Cyclone's going to be falling. Locust Wave in towards that fourth. Bit of an overextension there by Mokou, but he gets another tank. Won't be able to quite get into the mineral line, but the Locust Wave, it denies the fourth. Takes down some gas geysers. And KingSlayeR, he just can't build up. He just doesn't have the economy to build up. He needs something to go his way. If he's able to sneak out a run-by, like a Hellion run-by or a Cyclone counterattack, I mean, hey, this Liberator, it's denying some mining. He's denying some mining here towards the south. Towards the north, this space is pretty secure with all those spines. Oh. As the Locust Wave is going to be wasted this time against the Cyclones. Okay. Locust Wave. No, the base! Meanwhile, the third is left completely exposed, and this time we're killing every single worker here. At least we should be. Oh, never mind. Okay. Never mind. They do manage to escape. Did back up. Looks like Mokou was just a little bit paranoid about where the army was, and then he catches some Cyclones. Yeah, trades quite well here. Shutting down even more Cyclones, just never allowing them to build up. And we still leave some Roaches back, and they will get even more SCVs. The damage is still being done. Boys are being pulled. We're just rallying everything across the map at this point, as we are dealing critical damage. But you know what? KingSlayeR, he's been in a similar position. You know, he's... Remember game one? Wait, we're only 18 minutes in. Wow, we're getting ready to strap into another 20 minutes. Let's go. We can do it. KingSlayeR. He's refilling his tank. He's getting the Copium ready as, oh, we're just getting knocked down time and time again. Getting on top of the Cyclones. Still have a third base up and running. True. Don't quite have that fourth. Oh no! As we do bleed out a Swarm Host. KingSlayeR once again, this northern base. I mean, it's just a supply thing. He just doesn't have the numbers to defend both locations at once. He's rotating over towards the north, which means the southern base is exposed. Which means the SCVs go down. We take a rough fire. Mules are getting shut down as well. On the biles! Can we get the orbital? That becomes the next question. Good trades out of KingSlayeR. Good trades overall. From here, he's just trying to stabilize as well, getting back to the tank production. How many tanks do we have? 4 tanks. Peels off a couple of cyclones. No, the tanks! Okay, we pull back. Thankfully, we're not sieged. We do pull back in time. Interesting. Locust Wave zoning back the reinforcements. Now we can fight the cyclones head on. We can try to. And the problem with this run by is that we have a spine forest. The spine forest has already been established. It's been planted, and it's thriving. The non-stop run bys, the non-stop aggression here. Trying to pick up a cyclone towards the end. Oh, the base does catch fire. Thankfully, we do have enough minerals to repair. We should be able to keep it up. Now, when it comes to what Mokou's up to, he is building up a bank. Just like game number 1, you know, I have to emphasize, you know, taking up and working towards things like a Greater Spire, like Broodlord Infestor, as it is a more efficient army. It is less mobile though, so it does make sense to stay on Roach Ravager for now. But there's no reason not to, you know, start investing into everything else, just to make sure we have it available. The Lings especially would be good. But there it is. GG gets called as we run out of steam, and Mokou, he does it. He bounces back, and he will take the series 2-1. GG. Whew. Let's go. That was an hour-and-a-half long best of 3. GG, well played. Congratulations to Mokou as he does advance on into the next round, and we are here to follow him. We are here to follow him in his road. We haven't even had a look at the bracket yet today. It's just been such an intense series. But I need to very quickly slip into some DMs because we have a qualifying match.